The first thing Aria feels is the shift in the air, like the night is inhaling her. Not watching. Not waiting. Selecting. A low hum rises under her feet, vibrating through the cobblestones of the town square. People around her gasp. Someone drops a drink. A baby begins to cry. But Aria, she stands frozen as silver symbols older than every book she's ever handled flare to life beneath her boots. Impossible. The Wolf Kingdom's moonbound lottery hasn't chosen a human in centuries. Humans weren't supposed to be chosen at all. And yet the spiral of light marks her, wrapping around her ankles like living ribbons. Step back, someone yells. But the light only tightens, as if refusing to let her go. Aria's breath stutters. This has to be a mistake. A mistake that silences the entire square. A mistake that sends a chill crawling up her spine. A mistake that hits her fully when a deep, resonant voice speaks from the edge of the crowd. It is no mistake. The world parts for him before she even sees his face. Tall, broad-shouldered, cloaked in black wolf-hide armor that looks forged from night itself. Eyes, golden enough to illuminate the shadows, fix on her with a sharp, assessing intensity. The Alpha King himself. King Kale. He steps closer, and the earth seems to lean toward him. You, he says quietly, have been chosen. Her pulse kicks. Chosen. For what? His jaw flexes. For me. Gasps ripple through the crowd. Someone whispers a prayer. Aria's heart slams against her ribs. What does that mean? It means, Kale says, every word textured with a deep, dangerous restraint, you will marry me. By ancient law. Her vision tunnels. I'm human. That is the problem, someone in the crowd hisses. Kale's head turns sharply toward the voice, and they go silent as if their throat has snapped shut. He looks back at Aria, this time softer, though softness on him looks like a shadow remembering sunlight. You have my protection, he murmurs. I don't want your protection, she whispers. I want my life back. His gaze flickers, something tightening in his chest. I did not choose this either. Wind slashes between them, cold and biting. The sigils at her feet flare brighter, sealing fate. Kale extends a hand. Come. The kingdom awaits. She doesn't move. So he steps closer, closer than a king should ever stand to a stranger, and lowers his voice. I can sense fear, he murmurs. And your fear is screaming. Aria flinches. You can smell it? He shakes his head barely. No. I can feel it. Her pulse spikes harder. He sees it. He senses it. He could drown her with it if he wished. But instead, his voice gentles. Do not give them the satisfaction of watching you break. Walk with me. His hand waits, open, steady, patient in a way that unsettles her more than his strength. Aria inhales. And slowly, too slowly, places her trembling fingers into his palm. Heat rushes through her. Not from magic. From him. The crowd recoils. Humans stare. Wolves glare. Every pair of eyes, hungry, judging, furious, locks onto her. Traitor's bride, someone spits. Kale's arm sweeps around her instantly, drawing her into the protective circle of his body as he growls a low, territorial sound that vibrates through her bones. Anyone who had intended to speak again decides they enjoy living too much. Aria tries to steady her breathing as they begin walking through the square. Torches flicker. Shadows stretch. Hatred burns from every corner. Kale leans in, voice barely above breath. Keep your head high. Her throat tightens. What if I can't? Then he murmurs, lean on me until you can. Something hot prickles her eyes. But she keeps walking. Through the crowd. Into the unknown. Toward a future she never wanted. Toward a destiny the wolves will never forgive. And just when she thinks this night cannot get worse, a voice cuts through the dark. Your Majesty, do not take her. She is already marked. Kale stops walking. Aria's blood freezes. Marked? Kale growls. By whom? The stranger steps forward, trembling but brave. By someone inside your palace. Silence crashes over the square. Aria swallows hard. Marked. By a palace insider. By someone who knew she'd be chosen before she ever walked into the square. Kale's fingers tighten around hers. His voice drops to a deadly, quiet whisper. Explain. Now. And the man breathes a single word. Traitor. The carriage seals shut with a heavy thud, muffling the chaos of the town square. Aria's heart still pounds in her throat. Kale sits across from her, elbows resting on his knees, golden eyes fixed on her with a mixture of impatience and something perilously close to concern. The air between them is tight, still charged with the word that nearly stopped her heart. Traitor. She wipes her palms against her dress, voice small. Someone inside your palace marked me? Why? Kale doesn't move, doesn't blink. He simply studies her, like he is cataloging every tremor, every swallow, every flinch. Tell me everything you know, he says. His tone isn't cruel, but it's firm enough to make her spine straighten. I don't know anything, she whispers. I'm just someone who works in a bookstore. He leans forward slightly. Then someone chose you deliberately. Her breath stutters. To what? Make me your bride? No, Kale says quietly. To make you a weapon. A chill slices through her. A weapon against you? His jaw clenches. Perhaps. Or against the entire crown. The carriage rattles over rough stone as they ride deeper into wolf territory. Trees blur past the windows like streaks of ink. Aria swallows. Do you think I'm involved? If you were, Kale says, you wouldn't need to ask. His voice is low, almost reassuring. Almost. But then his gaze sharpens, turning more analytical. Humans cannot lie to wolves, Aria. She tenses. Meaning what? Meaning fear is louder than words. His eyes flick to her throat. And your pulse betrays you. Heat climbs her cheeks. She turns her face away. So I'm already failing. He shakes his head. No, you are surviving. That unexpected softness hits harder than any insult. She lets out a shaky exhale. What happens now? I return to the palace, Kale says. I identify the traitor. I protect the throne. His gaze pins her. And I protect you. Why? She asks, barely audible. His eyes darken. Because you are mine now. Her lungs lock. Not possessive. Not romantic. A statement of duty. But the way he says it sends a shiver racing down her spine. Aria tries to break eye contact, but he leans forward, voice quiet. Look at me. She does. Slowly. Cautiously. And sees not just a king, but a creature studying a puzzle he's never seen before. You are frightened, he says. But you are not weak. Her breath catches. He's wrong. She feels like she might fall apart at any moment. Kale's gaze drifts over her again, her trembling fingers, her shallow breaths. He sees everything. Tell me, he says softly, what frightens you most right now? She hesitates. Then whispers, being alone in a world that hates me. His chest rises with a slow inhale. And then he does something she never expected. He moves to her side of the carriage. Not touching her. Not crowding her. Just near enough that she can feel the solid presence of him. You are not alone, he murmurs. Lightning cracks somewhere in the distance. The suddenly storm-darkened sky flashes through the window. The moment hangs between them. Fragile. Electric. Dangerous. Aria's voice is barely breath. Kale. His head lifts sharply at the use of his name. Something shifts in his eyes, something that makes her heart stumble. But before he can speak, the carriage jolts violently. Horses scream. A massive shadow slams into the side of the carriage, flipping it onto two wheels. Kale lunges to brace her just as the window shatters, spraying glass. Aria gasps, gripping his arm as the carriage tilts. Something claws the roof. Wolves don't attack royal carriages. Not unless. Ambush. Kale roars. The carriage drops back onto all four wheels with a bone-rattling crash. Aria's ears ring. Kale grabs her shoulders, eyes blazing with lethal command. Stay behind me. Another impact hits the roof. Kale yanks open the side door, leaps into the storm, and shifts midair, bones snapping into the massive black wolf she'd only ever heard described in myths. Thunder shakes the sky. Aria scrambles to the doorway, heart hammering. and freezes. Because waiting in the trees are wolves wearing palace armor. His own soldiers, attacking their king. A blade flashes. Kale roars in pain. And before Aria can think, scream, breathe, a sword is pressed to her throat. A familiar voice whispers behind her ear. Don't struggle, human queen. This coup begins with you. The blade presses so close to Aria's throat she can feel the cold kiss of steel against her skin. The storm screams through the trees. Wolves snarl. Lightning exposes Kale, massive, wounded, furious, fighting 3 armored wolves at once. And the voice behind her, low and steady. Don't move, human queen. I need him to see you break. Aria doesn't breathe. The soldier gripping her pulls her back against his chest, his armor digging into her spine. He smells of blood and iron, nothing like Kale's wild forest warmth. Kale's wolf form whips around, eyes blazing molten gold when he spots the blade at her throat. He stops fighting. The sight of him stilling, breathing hard, formatted with rain and blood, cracks something deep inside her. The soldier laughs softly. See? Even the Alpha King hesitates for you. Aria whispers, voice trembling, Kale, don't. Kale's growl rolls through the forest like thunder. He shifts back into human form in one violent ripple, landing in the mud, bare-chested, bloody, eyes burning with murder. I will tear you apart, he spits. Not before I slit her throat, the traitor replies, tightening his grip. Kale takes one step. The blade digs in. Aria winces as a hot bead of blood slides down her neck. Kale freezes. The traitor smiles. Good king. Now listen carefully. Aria moves first. Not because she's brave. Because she's desperate. She slams her elbow backward into the traitor's ribs. Pain shoots up her arm. He curses, grip loosening just enough. Kale moves like a shadow ripped loose. He's on the traitor in a heartbeat. The blade clatters. Aria hits the ground as Kale tackles the soldier away from her, a violent blur of fists, claws, snarls, and rain. Mud splashes. Bones crack. A scream cuts through the forest. Aria scrambles backward, breath ragged. Kale stands over the fallen attacker, chest heaving, soaked, terrifying. But his voice, when it finally reaches her, is raw. Aria. He steps toward her slowly, like she's the one creature in this forest he cannot afford to frighten. Are you hurt? A tear mixes with rain on her cheek. She shakes her head. Just scared. His jaw tightens. So am I, he admits, breathless. Her heart stops. Kale's hands hover near her shoulders, not touching, but near enough she can feel the heat of him before finally settling. His thumbs skim her arms, checking for injuries with a care that doesn't match the violence still dripping from his knuckles. Why did they attack? She whispers. His golden eyes flick toward the forest. Because someone inside the palace ordered it. The realization hits her like a punch. Someone wants me dead before I ever reach the throne. Kale's voice drops to a brutal promise. And they will fail. They stand like that, rain falling, bodies trembling, breaths tangled but not touching for a long, suspended moment. Then the forest rustles. Kale snaps to attention. More armored wolves step out from the trees. But these ones drop to one knee. They're his loyal warriors. One speaks, voice tight. Your Majesty, we were ambushed on our patrol. The traitors planned this. Kale grabs Aria's hand without thinking. His grip is warm. Steady, possessive in a way that sends a dangerous shiver through her. We return home, he commands. Aria swallows. And then, Kale looks down at her, stormlight glowing in his eyes. Then I find the traitor who touched you. Thunder rolls again. As they begin walking, the loyal warriors forming a protective ring around them, Aria glances at Kale. His hand is still wrapped around hers. He doesn't let go. Not even when a messenger wolf sprints into the clearing, falls to one knee, and gasps. Your Majesty, news from the palace. Your advisor has declared you missing. Kale stops walking. Aria's fingers tighten around his. Then the messenger adds, voice shaking. And he is sworn to take the throne in your absence. The palace gates groan open as Kale and Aria approach, flanked by loyal warriors. Rain drips from their clothes, from Kale's hair, from the sword still clenched in his hand. Aria's pulse thrums faster the closer they get. This palace is ancient, sinister, beautiful. Black stone spires reach like claws. Blue torches flicker with unnatural fire. And from behind every column, wolves stare. Not welcoming, judging. Whispers ripple through them as she enters. Human. She'll bring ruin. She won't last a week. Aria tries to breathe evenly, but every whisper digs deeper. Kale feels it. His grip on her tightens. Do not bow your head, he murmurs. I'm trying, she says softly. Then try harder. His tone is strict, but beneath it, she hears something else. Fear. Not for himself. For her. They step into the grand hall, where silver-lit walls shimmer with stories carved centuries ago, alphas, battles, betrayals. Aria feels those stone eyes judging her too. And standing at the far end of the hall is the man who declared Kale missing. Advisor Thorn. Tall. Composed. Wearing a polite smile that does not reach his pale eyes. He approaches slowly, hands clasped behind his back. Your Majesty, he says to Kale with a shallow bow. We feared the worst. The palace was, his gaze shifts to Aria, cold and assessing. Concerned. Kale steps in front of her instinctively. Spare me the performance, he growls. Thorn's smile sharpens. Of course. The kingdom will be relieved to know you survived. He pauses. Though your companion seems less fortunate. Aria stiffens. Kale's voice drops to a threat. She is under my protection. And yet, Thorn replies softly, she's already bleeding. Aria touches the cut on her neck. Kale's fury spikes, his aura crackling like lightning. Choose your next words carefully. The hall goes silent. Thorn bows slightly. Forgive my observation. The council awaits. He turns and walks away. Kale waits until he's out of earshot, then exhales slowly, too slowly. Aria leans close. You don't trust him. Kale meets her eyes. I trust very few people. Then, softer, and none who threaten you. Her breath catches. They move through the palace, warriors trailing protectively behind them. Servants scurry away from Aria. Guards glare. A few growl under their breath. Aria whispers, they really don't want me here. No, Kale says truthfully. They don't. That honesty hurts more than any lie. But they will obey, he adds. They turn a corner. And suddenly a woman steps out from a doorway, beautiful, elegant, wearing deep crimson armor. Commander Lyra, head of Kale's elite guard. Her sharp gaze flicks to Aria, unreadable. So, Lyra says calmly, this is the human bride. Aria opens her mouth. But Lyra doesn't speak to her. Only to Kale. You should not have brought her here. Aria's stomach drops. Kale's voice is hard. She was chosen. Bound by law. And bound for death, Lyra snaps. Kale moves in front of Aria again. Enough. Lyra's eyes narrow. Fine, she says. Then you both should hear this. She steps closer, lowering her voice. The palace was breached tonight. Kale tenses. By whom? Lyra's answer slices the air open. Your advisor's private guard. They were searching your chambers for a human girl. Aria feels the blood drain from her face. Kale's expression goes lethal. Lyra continues, which means your traitor is no longer hiding in shadows. He's making his move. Aria whispers, because of me. Kale lifts her chin gently, forcing her to look at him. No, he says. Because someone fears what you will become. Her breath tangles in her chest. Kale turns to Lyra. Prepare the council chamber. I want every elder present. Lyra nods and strides away. Aria watches Kale, rain-wet hair falling over his brow, shoulders rigid with fury. Kale, she whispers. What am I supposed to do? He looks at her like she's the single point of light in a storm. Stay beside me, he says. No matter what happens. A shout echoes from the far end of the hall. A guard sprints toward them, panic in his voice. Your Majesty. The council chamber. It's been sealed from the inside. Kale's eyes widen. Then the guard finishes breathlessly. And someone just activated the execution platform. Aria's blood goes cold. Execution. Inside the council chamber. Kale grabs her hand. Run. The first thing Aria hears is the alarm bell. Deep. Metallic. Echoing through the halls like a heartbeat turned violent. Kale doesn't slow. His hand is wrapped around hers like a command issued through skin, warm, fierce, and unbreakable. His stride is long and furious. She has to half run, half fly to keep up. Kale, she breathes, lungs burning. What does it mean if the execution platform is active? It means, Kale growls, that someone inside that chamber is about to die. Aria's pulse spikes. One of the council? No, he snaps. They wouldn't kill one of their own. Her stomach drops. Then who? Aria. His voice is tight with dread. Think. Her mind races. Who would the council want gone? Not a wolf of noble blood. Not a political rival they still needed. Then it hits her. The perfect scapegoat. The perfect message. The perfect way to weaken Kale. Me, she whispers. They want people to think you ordered my execution. Kale doesn't deny it. He just runs faster. Warriors rush behind them, their boots slamming the stone. The air shifts with their movement, fur, breath, the faint electric scent of wolves on the edge of shifting. The hallway twists, torches flickering red, and then the council chamber appears, sealed by a thick iron gate glowing with runes. And behind it, the execution platform descends from the ceiling, chains rattling, a single figure strapped to its center. Aria gasps. A hooded prisoner kneels, wrists bound, head bowed. She takes one step forward. Kale's arm shoots out across her chest, stopping her. Aria. Wait. She strains to see the face under the hood. Who is it? She whispers. Kale's golden eyes sharpen. He inhales slowly, deeply. And his entire body stiffens. It's not you, he murmurs. Relief rushes through her, quick, fragile. Then Kale adds. It's someone loyal to me. The platform clicks into place. A blade mechanism drops from the ceiling. Aria's heart slams against her ribs. Kale motions sharply. Lyra. Commander Lyra appears from the shadows, bow already drawn. Get the runes down. Kale orders. Those runes are old, Lyra growls. Older than the palace. We don't know. Break them, Kale snaps, and there's something primal in the command that even Aria feels vibrate in her bones. Lyra fires an arrow at the glowing sigils. The rune sparks, but holds. Inside the chamber, the hooded prisoner lifts their heads slightly. Aria's breath halts. She recognizes the hair, dark, coarse, tied high. It's one of your warriors, she whispers. Kale nods once, jaw tight. Jorek. He's been loyal since we were boys. Why would the council? To punish me, Kale answers. To break the pack's faith. And then the blade mechanism begins to descend. Aria doesn't think. She grabs Lyra's second arrow and lunges for the gate. Kale catches her by the waist just in time. Aria, no. Let me help. You'll get killed. She twists in his grip, meeting his eyes. Then let me choose how. Something flickers in him, anger, fear, something deeper. But he releases her. Not fully. Just enough. Her hands tremble as she aims the arrow at the rune. She has no training. No strength. But she centers herself and thinks of Jorek. Of Kale. Of the council's cold pride. She fires. The arrow hits. The rune shatters. The iron gate groans, cracks forming along its structure. Kale roars, a sound that shakes the palace and shifts mid-stride. For tears through skin, bones reorganize into a massive black wolf launching himself at the gate. It buckles. Lyra and the warriors crash into it from the sides. It splits open. Aria races through the narrow gap. And stops dead. Jorek kneels on the platform, hood falling away to reveal a bloodied but defiant face. He looks at her, eyes dimming. Lady Aria, forgive us. They wanted someone who would make him hesitate. Aria steps forward, throat tightening. I won't let them hurt you. Jorek tries to smile. Not your fight. Kale crashes in beside her, shifting back with a snarl so furious it echoes like thunder. The descending blade creaks. Aria rushes to Jorek, trying to undo the straps with shaking hands. Kale grabs the entire blade mechanism and holds it back with brute strength, muscles bulging, teeth bared. Aria, faster. I'm trying. The mechanism groans under the force, slipping inch by inch through Kale's grip. A metallic screech slices the air. Aria rips the last strap free. Kale throws himself backward, dragging both her and Jorek off the platform as the blade slams down, missing them by a breath. The ground shakes with the impact. Jorek exhales in a shudder. Aria collapses beside him, chest heaving. Kale stands over them, blood dripping down his arms from the effort, breath coming hard. Then, the torches along the walls flicker. A symbol ignites on the far wall. A wolf's eye carved in gold. Thorn's personal mark. Aria's veins turn to ice. The council chamber doors slam shut behind them. A voice echoes from unseen speakers. Well done, King Kale. You saved one life. A pause. But how many will you lose next? Kale's head snaps up. Aria whispers, dread sinking deep. He's inside the palace. And then, a muffled explosion shakes the hallway outside. Dust rains from the ceiling. Lyra shouts from beyond the door. Your Majesty. Thorn has triggered a palace-wide lockdown. Kale pulls Aria against him, shielding her. Smoke curls under the sealed door. Then a second explosion erupts. Closer. Too close. Kale whispers one word. Down. The world becomes smoke, heat, and crushing sound. Kale forces Aria to the floor just as debris crashes from the ceiling. His body covers hers solid, burning hot, trembling with tension. She hears the deep rumble of his breath against her ear. Feels his heartbeat pounding through his chest. Smells the wildfire scent of his shifting aura. Stay with me, he murmurs, voice roughened by the smoke. I'm here, she whispers back, though her heart is ricocheting in her ribs. The chamber shudders again. Lyra shouts outside, they're burning through the door. Aria pushes herself up, coughing. Kale, they planned this. They wanted us trapped. They wanted you trapped, he corrects, eyes sharp as blades. She swallows hard. Thorn won't stop until I'm dead. No, Kale growls. He won't stop until he breaks me. Aria turns toward the door. Shadows crawl along the smoke, figures moving, preparing, gathering. A chorus of low snarls bleeds through the cracks. Thorn's private guard. Wolves trained to hunt without mercy. Kale rises slowly to his full height, expression carved from stone. His aura floods the room, dark and electric. Aria. Behind me. She shakes her head, stepping closer instead. I'm not leaving you. His jaw flexes. I didn't say leave. I said behind. Her breath stutters. Slowly, she obeys. Kale moves to the front of the room, bare-chested, bruised, blood streaking his arms, but standing like a creature the world should fear. The door's center glows red as molten metal begins dripping down. Jorek struggles to his feet behind Aria. If they get in, we won't survive. Kale tilts his head slightly. They're not getting in. The door explodes inward. Wolves in black armor flood through, snarling, charging. Kale shifts mid-stride, launching forward with a roar that rattles every stone in the chamber. The battle erupts. Claws tear. Steel flashes. Wolves crash into each other with a violence that blurs into motion. Kale is a storm, every slash, every bite, every leap calculated and lethal. Aria presses back against the wall, heart hammering, watching in stunned horror and awe. Kale fights like he's burning from the inside out. But there are too many. Jorek jumps in, blades drawn, but he's weakened. Blood trails down his face. Two armored guards tackle him, dragging him away. Aria cries out, moving forward. Kale slams into the wolves holding Jorek, scattering them. But in that heartbeat, another wolf lunges at Aria. She gasps as claws swipe for her throat. And then she feels it. A surge. A pull. A flare of instinct so sharp it feels like lightning inside her skull. Move. She ducks just in time, the claws slicing air above her head. Kale whirls, fury snapping through him, and tears the attacker off her. He turns back to Aria, panting, voice shaking. "Are you hurt?" "No," she whispers, breathless. "But I knew he was coming." Kale freezes. Their eyes lock. She shouldn't know. Humans can't sense wolves like that. But she did. It felt natural. Fast. Right. A new explosion rings out, closer this time, rattling the walls. Kale grabs her waist and pulls her behind a shattered pillar. Debris rains around them. His forehead presses to hers for one charged heartbeat. "Aria," he murmurs. "What did you feel?" Her voice cracks. Danger. Direction. Intent. Like a warning. His golden eyes flare. Intuition. Wolf intuition. "But I'm human." "Not entirely," he whispers. Another blast shakes the chamber. Lyra's voice shouts through the smoke. "Kale. The eastern wing has fallen." Thorn's forces are moving toward the throne room. Kale pulls Aria closer, breath hot against her cheek. "If Thorn reaches the throne room," he says, "he'll claim power over every wolf in the kingdom." "And he'll kill me to secure it," Aria whispers. Kale touches her jaw, rough thumb brushing her cheek. "Not while I breathe." Their lips almost touch. Almost. But then a massive crash splits the chamber. Aria flinches. The smoke parts. And Thorn himself steps through the shattered doorway, calm, pristine, untouched by the chaos he caused. "Your Majesty," he says smoothly. "You're bleeding." Kale snarls, shifting a step closer. Thorn smiles at Aria. "And your little human is waking." Aria freezes. He sees it. He knows. Kale roars and charges him. But a circle of runes bursts to life around Thorn's feet, blasting Kale backward violently. Aria screams as Kale flies across the chamber, slamming into the wall with bone-breaking force. He collapses. Unmoving. "Kale." Thorn steps through the smoke, smiling. "Well then," he says softly, eyes locking onto her. "Shall we finish what your execution chamber started?" The world stops moving. Or maybe Aria does. She can't tell, because all she hears is the sound of Kale's body hitting the wall, hard enough to shake dust loose from the stone. Hard enough that he doesn't get back up. Her throat twists painfully. "Kale." A whisper, a prayer, a fracture. Thorn strolls closer, boots echoing on the broken floor. Too calm. Too sure. A man who knows he has already won. Behind Aria, Kale lies slumped on one elbow, head bowed, breath ragged. His aura flickers, no longer a storm, but a dying ember. Aria's chest tightens. He's not out. But he's close. Thorn's eyes drag over her like a blade. "You shouldn't be standing, little human. My sigils were meant to disrupt wolf senses, yet you're still breathing." She forces her spine straight. "I'm not easy to kill." Thorn smiles. "Oh, Aria. That's exactly the problem." She steps backward instinctively, and her heel hits Kale's boot. He's awake. Barely. His voice, hoarse and raw. "Aria, run." "No," she breathes. "I'm not leaving you." His fingers twitch, trying to reach her, then fall weakly to the ground. Thorn watches, amused. Sweet. Adorable. Inspiring even. But useless. The chamber groans as another explosion detonates somewhere deep in the palace. Heat blooms along the floor. The lights flicker. The air tastes like metal and smoke. Aria lifts her chin. Why do all this? Why burn the palace? Why kill your own warriors? Thorn's expression stills, then splits with a cold smile. Because a kingdom ruled by a wolf who refuses to be a weapon is no kingdom at all. Aria's blood chills. He lifts his hand. Around him, runes float, glowing symbols spinning like blades. They hum with power, ancient and wrong. Kale tries to lift himself. He fails. Aria steps in front of him. Thorn laughs. Protective, are we? But tell me, does he deserve it? She doesn't answer. She won't give him anything. But Thorn steps closer, voice dropping, poisonous. He's dying, Aria. And the moment he does, the throne defaults to the next eligible heir. He spreads his arms. Me. The breath leaves her lungs. No, she says, each letter trembling. Kale won't fall. Thorn's smile darkens. He already has. He flicks his wrist. The circle of runes lashes outward. Aria gasps as the air vibrates with raw force, pressure, heat, a sound like tearing fabric. The energy rushes toward her. She throws up her hands, instinct, fear, desperation. A shockwave erupts around her. A pulse of invisible power. The runes stutter mid-flight, then shatter. Thorn freezes. Aria stares at her own trembling hands, heart slamming. I don't. But she did. Thorn's eyes narrow. So, it's true. Your intuition is awakening. Kale tries to rise again, voice shredded. Aria, move. But she can't. She's rooted, lungs tight, trembling with something she doesn't understand. Thorn lifts both hands now, runes swirling faster, brighter, whipping the air into a storm. Let's see how deep your instincts go. Aria steps back, dragging Kale with her inch by inch. Her pulse roars in her ears. Her mind screams. But then, a whisper inside her. Lower. Move right. Duck. Instinct. Not thought. The moment the runes strike. She pulls Kale down with her, twisting, rolling across the floor. The spell slams into the wall where her head had been. Stone explodes. Kale groans in pain. Aria presses her hand to his chest. Stay with me. His breath rattles, shallow. Aria, go. But she shakes her head. Stop asking me to leave you. I won't. Thorn lifts another sphere of runes, now swirling with killing intent. Enough. And then, a roar splits the chamber open. Not Kale's. The eastern wall collapses in a surge of rubble and smoke. A dozen palace warriors storm inward, some in human form, some half-shifted, teeth bared, eyes burning with loyalty. Lyra leads them, bow drawn. Your Majesty, your orders? Her voice is steady, but her eyes are locked on Aria. Not in resentment. In recognition. In allegiance. Thorn tsks softly. Too late, Commander. Lyra releases the string. The arrow streaks straight for Thorn's heart. It hits the shimmering barrier around him and snaps in half. Thorn smirks. Pathetic. Kale forces himself upright one more time, eyes blazing with pain and fury. Touch her, he growls, and I will rip you apart. Thorn raises an eyebrow. I look forward to watching you try. He lifts both hands. The runes spiral outward. 20. 40. More. A sphere of pure light builds in his grip. Lyra shouts, Aria, move. But Aria isn't looking at Thorn. She's looking at Kale. At his shaking hands. At the blood pooling beneath him. At the way he leans forward like he'll crawl across broken stone just to put himself between her and danger. Her heart fractures. Her instincts surge. Her pulse screams. Stand. Protect him. Now. She rises slowly. Thorn's smile widens. Good. Face me. Lightning erupts from his hands. The chamber fills with light. Heat slams forward. Aria throws her hands up. A blinding, instinct-born shield erupts around her and Kale. Thorn's attack hits it. And rebounds. The explosion knocks Thorn backward. For the first time. He looks afraid. Aria trembles, gasping, staring at her own glowing palms. Kale whispers, hoarse, reverent. Aria, what are you? The shield flickers. Aria collapses to her knees. Kale catches her, even broken. He catches her. But Thorn is already rising from the rubble. Already smiling again. Already lifting more runes. He learns something crucial. Aria is more dangerous alive than dead. Enough games, Thorn snarls. This ends now. He steps forward. And the floor beneath Aria cracks open. A trap. A sigil-triggered pit. The ground gives way. And Aria falls. Kale's scream tears the world apart. Aria. Darkness swallows her whole. Cold air whips past Aria's face as she falls through the stone shaft. Her scream is lost in the roar of wind and echoing debris. The walls blur carved rock, ancient roots, flickering runes sliding upward like streaks of fire. Her mind fractures. No thought. Just instinct. Grab something. Stop falling. Survive. She slams her hand against the wall. Stone rips her skin open. She tries again, pain flashes, but her fingers catch the edge of an exposed root. It jerks her violently, almost ripping her arm out of its socket. She dangles. Her breath is broken glass. Above her, Kale's voice shatters the world. Aria. She forces her head up. Kale is on his stomach at the edge of the broken floor, reaching down with one blood-soaked arm, half-shifted with desperation. His claws scrape uselessly at the air. His eyes, gold-burning with terror, lock onto hers. Hold on, he roars. I'm trying. The root cracks. She slips an inch. Kale lunges forward, ignoring his injuries. Lyra grabs his legs to keep him from falling in with her. Kale, stop, you're bleeding out. Let me go, he snarls, voice feral. I have to reach her. But he can't. The shaft is too deep. Aria's arm trembles violently, nerves screaming. She tries to swing her other hand up, but the root tears further. Another inch. Another crack. Kale. Her voice breaks. I can't. Yes, you can, he growls, voice shaking. I'm here. Look at me. She does. He's shaking. He's dying. And still, all his strength is reaching for her. Her heart twists painfully. She tries to pull herself up. The root snaps. She falls. Kale's roar shakes the chamber above. No. Aria plunges again, weightless, helpless, breath torn from her lungs. She braces for impact, for stone, for pain. But instead, she slams into water. Dark, freezing water. The impact knocks the air out of her. She sinks deep, too deep, blinded by blackness. Her limbs are numb, heavy, refusing to move. Not like this. Not drowning. Not where Kale can't reach her. She kicks upward once, twice. Her lungs burn. She breaks the surface with a gasp, choking. The cavern is enormous, an underground reservoir lit by faint blue fungus clinging to the walls. Water licks at jagged rock edges. Massive roots dangle from the ceiling far above. She tries to swim to a nearby stone ledge. But something moves in the water. A ripple. A shadow beneath her. No. No, no, no. Her breath catches. Something brushes her leg. She freezes. Then, a growl vibrates through the water. Not a wolf. Something older. Something wrong. She kicks frantically toward the ledge. Her fingers brush stone. Something yanks her under. She screams, but water floods her throat. Panic detonates inside her. She claws at the surface, at the creature dragging her downward. Teeth rake her ankle. A huge dark shape coils around her leg. No breath. No light. No escape. Her chest spasms. But then, a jolt slams through her senses. A whisper. A guidance. A flare of instinct like fire across her veins. Move left. Kick its jaw. Now. Her body reacts before she understands. She twists hard. Slams her heel into something solid. Feels the creature release. She shoots upward, breaking the surface again with a gasp so loud it echoes through the cavern. She drags herself onto the wet stone ledge and collapses, coughing water, shaking uncontrollably. Her ankle throbs with deep bruises. Her breath quivers. Her heart pounds like it's trying to break free. The water calms. The cavern goes silent. Then, a voice echoes above. Broken. Feral. Terrified. Aria. Kale. Her heart lurches painfully. I'm here, she screams upward, voice cracking. Silence. Then rocks scrape violently. Then Kale's voice again, raw with absolute determination. I'm coming down for you. No, she shouts. Kale, you'll die. But his answer is immediate. I don't care. The echo of his words fills the cavern. Aria's breath trembles. She pushes herself up on shaking elbows and freezes. A figure stands at the far end of the cavern. Tall. Cloaked in shadow. Watching her. Not wolf. Not thorn. Something else. Its eyes glow faintly green. Her voice catches in her throat. Who are you? The figure steps forward. Slow. silent, predatory. And then, it speaks. Human girl, it whispers, voice ancient. Your intuition woke me. Aria's blood turns to ice. You should not be alive. The cavern trembles. The water ripples. Kale shouts her name from above. And the figure lunges. The first scream doesn't come from me. It comes from one of the council guards, a sharp, guttural cry that slices through the throne chamber like a blade. Immediately, spears rise. Armor clatters. 100 eyes swing toward me as though I've shed my skin and become a creature born of nightmares. Human, someone snarls. How dare you touch the throne? I freeze. My fingers hover inches from the carved obsidian seat. I hadn't touched it, I had only drifted close, reading the inscriptions Kale promised to explain tonight. But someone wanted me caught here. A shadow breaks away from the pillars. High Advisor Rennick, the wolf who always watches me as though I'm a flaw in the kingdom's perfection. He steps into the light and in his hand is a blood-soaked dagger. My breath snags. The dagger is Kale's. The same dagger he keeps hidden beneath his belt for emergencies. The one that never leaves his person. Rennick's voice carries across the hall. Guards. The human bride has murdered Lord Varen. Gasps. Snarls. Fury ripples through the room. Murdered? I whisper. What are you talking about? Rennick tosses something onto the ground. A seal ring. Heavy. Gold. Marked with the emblem of the Eastern Court. Lord Varen's ring. My legs start to shake. No, I whisper. No, I've never even met him. The guards close in, forming a circle of steel. A low growl reverberates through the walls. Kale. His voice thunders a second later. Stand. Down. He storms toward us with a fury I've never seen, eyes glowing, jaw clenched, body tight with barely restrained violence. The guards waver. But not Rennick. He lifts the bloody dagger higher. Your Majesty. The evidence is here. I found her standing over Varen's body. And this, your own blade, was the murder weapon. Kale doesn't even glance at the weapon. His gaze is locked on me. Aria, he breathes. His voice cracks just enough for only me to hear it. Tell me, did anyone touch you? Are you hurt? Hurt. They think I killed someone, but he thinks first about whether I'm safe. Something deep inside me twists painfully. I didn't do this, I whisper. Kale, someone set me up. I see the moment he believes me. Fully, absolutely, with the kind of certainty that cannot be shaken. But the council is restless. Rumors rustle through the air like dry leaves. She's human, she lies. She's the reason the wards failed. She's a danger to the throne. She must be detained. Rennick plays his next move with precision. Your Majesty, by ancient law, even the Queen-to-be must stand trial before the Council of Claws. Until then, she is to be taken into custody. Behind him, warriors step forward with silver shackles. My breath stutters. Kale moves so fast the guards barely register it. His hand closes around Rennick's wrist, twisting hard enough to make the older man grunt. You will not put a single shackle on her, Kale growls, voice dropping into a deep, animal resonance. Rennick's lips curl. Are you defying the council? I am defending my bride. Those words echo off the walls. My heart jumps in my throat. Rennick isn't finished. His voice quiets, shifts into something venomous. Then you defy tradition. You risk war. You threaten every alliance this kingdom has. A heavy silence falls. Everyone watches Kale. Everyone waits for him to bend, as all kings eventually do. But Kale does not bend. He steps in front of me, shields me with his entire body, and speaks with slow, deadly clarity. Aria is not to be touched. He pauses, looks at every council member one by one. And if you accuse her again without proof, you will answer to me. The hall erupts in protest. Wolves snarl. Claws scrape stone. The air shivers with outrage. But Kale doesn't waver. He grabs my wrist, not roughly, but with a fierce, possessive protectiveness, and pulls me behind him. We're leaving, he growls. Kale, I whisper, trembling, the dagger. Why do they have your dagger? His jaw tightens. Because someone wants you destroyed. We reach the doors, just as something slams shut from the other side. The torque of magic ripples through the room. The torches flicker. A voice echoes overhead. Not so fast, King Kale. Rennick lifts a hand. A dark rune glows on his palm. And behind us, the throne room doors lock themselves with a sound like bone snapping. Every guard aims their spear at us. Aria of the human realm, Rennick announces, you are under arrest for treason. Kale steps forward, but a dozen warriors launch themselves at him at once. The chapter ends with a violent, deafening crash as Kale collides with the throne, half-shifting, roaring in fury. While I stand frozen between them all, knowing something is about to break beyond repair. Consciousness returns like a slow tide. The air is damp, cold, metallic. My wrists burn. When I try to move, iron chains rattle and bite into my skin. Not silver, but close enough to sting. I'm underground. A dungeon. Someone wanted me hidden, not killed. Footsteps approach. Heavy. Measured. Kale. His scent hits me before he appears, storm air, cold pine, and the raw heat of someone barely holding himself together. When he steps into the torchlight, my heart breaks and mends and shatters all over again. He's bruised. Bleeding. Shirt torn. One hand trembling slightly, an alpha who burned through too much power too fast. His eyes scan the room until they find me. Aria. Just my name. But it carries enough emotion to drown kingdoms. He strides toward me, summoning fire against the shackles. They groan, crack, fall away. The moment I'm free, I collapse forward, and he catches me, arms locking around me with a force bordering on desperation. I lost you, he breathes. I swore I wouldn't, and I still, Aria, My fingers brush his jaw. His breath hitches as though I struck him instead of touched him. What happened? I whisper. He exhales slowly, as if choosing honesty over hesitation. They tried to contain me. They failed. But Rennick ordered your removal from the throne room before I could get to you. He claimed it was for the kingdom's protection. His voice sharpens with disgust. When I realized they'd taken you down here, I snapped. I swallow. And the council? I shut them down. I invoked ancient right. That makes me go still. No king has done that in centuries. He lifts his head, and the fire in his eyes is terrifyingly calm. I will break every tradition in this kingdom before I let them touch you again. Something inside my chest trembles. Kale, you'll lose support. Influence. Everything you've built. I don't care, he says simply. I choose you. The sentence lands like a blow. He chooses me. Not duty. Not alliance. Not the throne. Me. Heat floods my cheeks. My whole body feels too warm, too aware of how close he is, the tension between us like a tightrope, humming. His thumb grazes my cheek. They think you're weak, Aria. His voice drops lower. They're wrong. Another beat. They think I'll abandon you. His gaze darkens. They're wrong about that too. I should speak. Tell him I trust him. Tell him I'm not afraid. But before I can, a thunderous boom shakes the dungeon. Dust rains from the ceiling. Kale's head snaps up. That was the western tower. Another explosion. Closer. My pulse spikes. Kale, what's happening? He steps in front of me instinctively, shielding me. Warriors are fighting, he murmurs. Inside the palace. My breath stops. Inside. Which means, this isn't about you anymore, he says. Someone is making their move. Another blast. The ground trembles. Kale grabs my hand, pulling me toward the stairs. We have to move. Now. We reach the corridor only to find a body, one of Kale's elite guards, slumped against the wall, throat slashed. A message burned into the stone beside him. The human must fall. Or the king will. Kale's jaw clenches. Cowards. But I'm frozen. Not from fear. From something else. Something I can't explain. I look at the message again, and a sharp, stabbing sensation cuts through my mind. A flash. A vision? A memory? No, something else. A hand holding a glowing sigil. A cloaked figure passing through the palace wards unharmed. A whisper, tonight, The throne breaks. I stagger. Kale catches me. Aria? I saw something, I breathe. Not a memory. Not a dream. Something real. Someone is inside the palace. Someone powerful. He stares at me as though seeing me in a new light. But before he can speak, a howl erupts from above, raw, panicked. Kale pulls me into his arms. We're going to the throne room, he says. Stay behind me. Don't argue. He doesn't wait for my response. He half drags me up the stairs, sprinting with supernatural speed. We emerge onto the main floor. And freeze. Torches overturned. Blood on the marble. Wolves battling wolves in a blur of teeth and steel. Rennick stands on the throne steps, directing the chaos with calm, cold precision. Kale growls so deeply the stones vibrate. Then Rennick lifts his hand. The glowing sigil from my vision burns on his palm. My breath rips free. Kale, I whisper, horrified. He's the one. He's the one behind everything. Kale tenses, ready to strike. But Rennick only smiles. Welcome back, Your Majesty, he calls out. You're just in time. He snaps his fingers. Warriors turn toward us. Every single one of them shifts fully. And charges. Time slows. The wolves leap as one, a wall of fur, claws, and snapping jaws. I feel the rush of their breath, even from behind Kale. The sound is suffocating. The lights flicker. The floor vibrates beneath us. Kale shifts, not fully, not enough to lose himself, but enough that his spine lengthens, muscles bulge, and gold rips through his eyes like lightning. His growl is not human. It rolls through the chamber like a storm front. Behind me, he commands without turning. I don't move. I can't. Not when every instinct in me screams that running means death. Kale meets the first wave head-on. Claws clash against claws. Bodies crash hard enough to shake dust from ancient pillars. Kale is a blur, moving with a violence that is both terrifying and beautiful. 3 wolves fall. Then 5. Then 8. But more come. Too many. Something is wrong. They're not fighting like warriors. They're obeying a single mind. Rennick. My gaze snaps to the throne steps, where Rennick stands, hands raised, eyes glowing with a sickly silver light. He is controlling them. Controlling wolves. The palace air stings with forbidden magic. Kale snarls, batting away another attacker. Rennick. You dare use binding magic on my warriors. Rennick's smile is thin, triumphant. They were never yours, Your Majesty. My blood runs cold. The figure beside him steps forward. The gold crown glints. The ceremonial fur cloak is stained with fresh blood. And when the figure raises their head, I gasp. It's not a stranger. It's High Commander Lorien. Kale trusted him. The warriors trusted him. Lorien's voice is smooth, smug. The crown suits me, doesn't it? Kale freezes for half a second, just long enough for a wolf to rip into his shoulder. Kale. I scream. He jerks back, kills the attacker with a brutal swipe, but he's bleeding. Badly. Rennick tilts his head. You never saw it, did you? Never questioned why your council kept losing packs. Why alliances crumbled. Why the wards weakened. Kale growls through clenched teeth. You. Then, darker, and him. Yes, Rennick replies. Your father was right to fear us. Shame he died before he could stop the inevitable. Something snaps inside me. My vision floods with flashes, unfamiliar but real. Whispers in the council. A sigil pressed into a dying wolf's hand. A cloaked figure meeting Rennick in the Moon Temple. A map marked with every weak point in the palace. I stumble. My breath shakes. What is happening to me? Kale's voice reaches me through the haze. Aria. Eyes on me. But I can't look away from the images unfolding in my mind like a film I never watched but somehow lived. You planned all of this, I breathe, staring at Rennick. Framing me. Turning the council. Weakening the packs. Even the wards, you sabotage them. Rennick's smile widens. So the little human sees after all. Your intuition is evolving. Evolving. Kale stiffens. What did you do to her? His voice is low, deadly. Do. Rennick chuckles. Nothing. Humans with latent sight eventually awaken under pressure. A smirk. Your little bride is far more dangerous than you realized. Kale lunges, but the possessed wolves intercept him in a violent swarm. Rennick lifts a glowing rune. I needed the palace distracted for the takeover. So thank you for falling neatly into place. Lorien steps down one stair at a time, crown gleaming like mockery. Kale, he says softly. Step aside. You were never meant to rule. You were too sentimental. Too tied to your father's legacy. Kale roars, shifting further, fighting with savage, feral strength. But he's tiring. Bleeding. Slipping. And Rennick knows it. He lifts both hands. The wolves freeze midair, then turn all of them toward me. The realization strikes like a blade. He isn't just taking the throne. He's eliminating the one thing standing between him and absolute obedience. Me. Kill the human, Rennick commands. They leap. Every wolf in the room. Kale screams my name. And the world goes white. A force I do not understand ripples outward from my chest, throwing wolves in every direction. Pillars crack. Torches explode. Rennick stumbles, eyes widening in shock. My knees buckle. Kale catches me just before I hit the floor. Aria, he breathes, voice shaking. What have you done? But the room is already shifting. The stone beneath us splits open. And something begins crawling out of the darkness below. The ground shudders so violently I think the entire palace might collapse. Marble buckles. Statues topple. Wolves freed from Rennick's control by the shock wave scramble back in terror. But nothing can outrun what rises from the darkness. The creature's hand, stone-colored, veined with glowing blue cracks, drags a body the size of a carriage out of the fissure. Massive. Ancient. Breathing like a volcano preparing to erupt. Its eyes open, two molten pools of white fire. Every wolf in the chamber whimpers. Even Kale goes still. What is that? I whisper. An ethereal, Kale answers, voice barely a breath. A guardian spirit, weaponized. This is impossible. They don't leave the Underrealm. They can't. Rennick laughs softly. Oh, they can. With the right blood price. Kale's head snaps toward him. You sacrificed wolves to summon this thing? Only the weak ones, Rennick replies. The kingdom must be reforged in strength. Lorien steps forward, crown gleaming. We will guide the ethereal. With it, we take the palace in one night. My skin crawls. This isn't just a coup. It's a purge. Kale pulls me behind a fallen pillar as the ethereal lets out a roar that blasts half the torches out. Heat radiates from it, thick, suffocating, chemical-smelling. Aria, Kale says urgently, gripping both my shoulders, you need to listen to me. You cannot use whatever power you just used again. My heart pounds. Why? It saved us. It nearly killed you, he snaps, eyes fierce. Humans are not built for that kind of energy. If you push it again, it could tear your mind apart. I swallow hard, throat tight. The creature takes another step. The marble floor sinks under its weight. Kale turns. We need to get you out of. His words break off as Lorien raises an artifact shaped like a twisted horn. It glows, pulsing, controlling the ethereal like reins. Kill the king, Lorien commands. The ethereal moves. Straight toward us. Kale shoves me aside as the creature's claw rips through the pillar we were hiding behind. I fall hard, sliding across stone dust. Kale. I scream. He dodges another strike, but the creature is too big, too fast. He's cornered. The palace walls box him in. Rennick calls out, take him alive if possible. His blood amplifies the ethereal's strength. Kale snarls. You will not touch her. You will not touch my people. The ethereal's shadow rises above him like a mountain. I can't move. The sight pins me in place. Kale is going to die. Lorien knows it. Rennick knows it. The ethereal lifts its arm. Kale meets my eyes. And in that final second, in the middle of destruction, he whispers something with no sound. Aria. I feel it more than hear it. My chest aches. My hands shake. The air vibrates around me. Something inside me cracks open. Not power. Something older. Something instinctive. Intuition surges, violent, blinding, undeniable. I see everything. Rennick's rune glowing on the wrong frequency. Lorien's artifact pulsing irregularly. The crack in the Ethrol's left foreleg. The weak point in the pillar above Kale's head. And the path thin as thread, where Kale could live. But only if I move. Only if I act. Only if I trust what I shouldn't yet understand. I run. Straight toward the creature. Aria, no. Kale roars. The Ethrol swings. I slide under its arm, grab a broken spear from the floor, leap onto a fallen block, and slam the spear into the glowing crack on its leg. The creature screams loud enough to shake the ceiling. The pillar above Kale collapses, but he's already moved, instinctively, perfectly, exactly on the path I saw. Dust explodes around us. The Ethrol stumbles. Lorien staggers. The artifact flickers. Rennick's eyes widen in rage. You little wretch. But I'm not listening. Because Kale is staring at me as though he has never seen me before. Aria, he breathes. How did you know? I don't have time to answer. Because Lorien's artifact surges with new light. The Ethrol straightens. And Rennick lifts a second rune. Together, they unleash something catastrophic. Magic roars. The palace windows explode outward. And the Ethrol turns its burning eyes on me. The instant Kale's body hits the floor, the world fractures. Not outwardly, inside her. Aria's breath snatches in her throat as heat surges up her spine. A flash, no, a pulse, flares behind her eyes like a blazing moon splitting itself open. For a heartbeat, she can't breathe. She can't think. She only feels. Something ancient. Something instinctive. Something that is not wolf, not human, but a razor edge between the two. Her hands tremble as she drops beside Kale. His pulse is fading slow, uneven, slipping. Kale, stay with me. Her voice cracks as she cups his face. Please, don't you dare leave me now. His eyelids flutter. Aria, go. There, still inside the palace. No, she breathes. I'm not leaving you. A scream, no, a warning cry, echoes down the corridor behind them. The palace guards are fighting an enemy already inside the walls. They came for the king. They almost succeeded. Aria tries to lift Kale, but his weight drags her down. Panic rushes through her. Until heat ignites behind her ribs. Not physical heat. Unknowing. She freezes. Her breath slows. The chaos around her blurs. Something inside her whispers, listen. And suddenly she hears things she's never heard before. The scrape of 3 blades in the hall to the right. A heartbeat thundering behind a door 20 paces away. The soft, nearly imperceptible shift of someone lowering a crossbow in the rafters above. Her head snaps upward. A masked attacker crouches on the support beam, crossbow aimed straight at Kale's heart. Aria moves before she understands how. She lunges across Kale's body, grabbing the fallen spear beside him and hurling it upward with a precision she's never possessed. It pierces the air, strikes the shadows, and the attacker screams as he falls from the rafters. The crossbow bolt clatters uselessly against stone. Aria doesn't blink. She knew where he was. She knew what he would do. But how? Kale's chest rises weakly behind her. Relief hits so fiercely her knees buckle. Footsteps rush toward them, wolves loyal to the throne. Aria whirls, stands tight, but they aren't enemies. 2 warriors skid to their knees beside Kale, lifting him carefully, eyes wide with shock. Lady Aria, how did you? Get him to the healers, she snaps. Now. They obey instantly. But the moment Kale is taken from her arms, cold sweeps through her like the aftermath of lightning. Her hands won't stop shaking. Her lungs can't find a full breath. What just happened? What inside her woke up? She starts to follow the warriors when another wave of sensation floods through her, sharp and directionless, like whispers spinning in a storm. Sound without sound. Vision without sight. It pulls her. Not physically. Instinctually. Toward a corridor she has never entered, deep beneath the throne wing. Every step she takes feels guided, as if invisible hands are steering her. When she reaches the small, unlit room at the end of the hall, she hesitates. then steps inside. A single table sits in the center. Papers scattered. Almost all burned. But one letter, half-scorched, remains intact. She lifts it with trembling fingers. It bears the seal of Kale's high advisor. The wolf who's never once met her gaze without a thin smile. The wolf whose voice had always felt too smooth, too controlled. Aria unfolds the letter. Her blood runs cold. Orders. Ciphered instructions. Covert troop movements. And at the bottom, remove the human queen before the coronation. The king will fall soon after. Her vision tunnels. Her heartbeat becomes a roar. The mastermind wasn't a rival clan. Not a rebel wolf faction. It was someone inside the palace. Someone Kale trusts. Someone who has been guiding the king's decisions for years. Her voice comes out a whisper, raw and shaking. Kale, you were never safe. She turns to run, and comes face to face with the advisor himself, silhouette filling the doorway. His eyes gleam with quiet triumph. I was wondering, he murmurs, voice silk and poison, how long it would take you to find me. Aria's heart slams against her ribs. She is alone. Kale is unconscious. And the mastermind stands between her and escape. The torchlight flickers. And he steps forward. Aria doesn't breathe. The advisor blocks the only exit, the torch behind him stretching his shadow until it swallows half the chamber. His expression is serene, too serene, as if her discovery has only confirmed a plan he long suspected she'd stumble into. He clasps his hands behind his back. Calm. Unhurried. Deadly. So, he says softly, the human finally found her teeth. Aria keeps her voice steady. You tried to kill your own king. Correction, he replies. I tried to save a kingdom from a doomed reign and an even more disastrous queen. He steps closer. Aria doesn't move. She can't. Not when her body is quietly vibrating with that new intuition, every signal inside her screaming that his next move will be lethal. He tilts his head, studying her like one studies a curious specimen. You feel it now, don't you? That little awakening inside you. His smile is thin, humorless. You should thank me. Pressure reveals what people really are. And what I am terrifies you, she says. His smile vanishes. He lunges. Aria leaps aside, instinct, not thought, guiding her. His blade slices past her cheek, missing by a hair. She doesn't understand how she moved that quickly, how she knew where his arm would swing, but she uses it, twisting, ducking, sprinting down the corridor. He follows with brutal efficiency. A human cannot outrun me, he calls, footsteps echoing like thunder. But Aria isn't outrunning. She's listening. Feeling. A pulse behind her ribs shows her the turn before she sees it. The shift in the air tells her a hidden door stands to her right. She stumbles into it, slams it shut, and plunges into darkness. The advisor hits the other side of the door with a snarl. You will not make it out of this palace alive. Aria sprints into the blackness. The air is colder here, tight, metallic. Her fingertips brush stone, then wood, then iron. When she bursts out the other end of the passage, she's in a long-forgotten chamber filled with old ledgers, sealed chests, and scrolls. She freezes. Dust lies thick across everything. But a set of documents sits on a center table, untouched, clean, recently opened. She approaches slowly, intuition crackling in her veins. The first ledger makes her stomach drop. Financial transfers. Illegal trade routes. Weapons shipments hidden under diplomatic escorts. And every account ties back to the advisor. Another book reveals deals with rival kingdoms, payments for assassinations, manipulation of the council, threats against the royal bloodline. Aria covers her mouth. This wasn't political ambition. This was rot. Deep. Systematic. Years in the making. A corruption so entrenched it wrapped around the throne like a noose, and she had walked right into the middle of it. Behind her, a quiet click echoes. She turns. The advisor stands in the doorway. Thank you, he says gently. I've been meaning to burn those. Aria backs away from the table. Kale will see this. Everyone will. His eyes soften with pity. Oh, Aria. You think I care who sees the truth? I built this kingdom's future. Kale is just a boy with a crown. And you're the spark that could ruin everything. He raises his blade. Then, a roar shakes the chamber. The door behind the advisor explodes inward as Kale, still weak, still bleeding, forces himself inside, eyes burning bright gold. Step away from her, Kale growls. The advisor stiffens. Aria's breath catches. Kale looks feral, terrifying, beautiful, his wolf straining beneath his skin, barely held back. You should be dead, the advisor spits. Kale's voice is a low, lethal rumble. You've underestimated two things tonight. My mate's instincts. He steps fully into the room. And my will to survive. The advisor turns his blade. Kale steps forward. And the chamber erupts into chaos. The throne room feels like a storm held inside stone walls. The air is heavy, charged, suffocating. Every council member is shouting, some demanding Aria's exile, others calling for Kale's abdication for allowing a human into palace affairs. Their voices collide in a roar of outrage, fear, and wounded pride. Aria stands in the center of it all, the evidence of the advisor's treason spread before them on the marble table, ledgers, letters, seals of betrayal. None of it matters. Not to them. Not when they see her. A human cannot accuse a high advisor, one counselor growls. She overstepped her place, another snarls. Her presence is destabilizing the kingdom. Kale's voice booms across the chamber. She saved your kingdom. But the council's fury only sharpens. Aria feels every gaze like a blade pressed to her spine. Shame? No. That died last night when she stood between the king and death. What rises now is something new. A strength that feels carved from bone and fire. Aria steps forward. Kale tries to reach for her arm, but she shakes her head once. Let me. The room quiets, not out of respect, but shock as she places her palms on the table, leaning toward the wolves who've done nothing but undermine her since the day she arrived. Her voice comes out low. Steady. Unshakable. You all saw the advisor's treason. You saw him attempt to kill your king. You have the documents, each one tying him directly to corruption, assassination plots, and deals with rival kingdoms. Counselor Voren sneers. And yet you delivered this evidence. You were found on restricted grounds. You have been at the center of every disturbance since your arrival. Aria lifts her chin. Because your traitor put me there. The kingdom will not bow to a human girl, another says. Even if the king is blinded by attachment. A faint laugh leaves her, not mocking, but exhausted, fierce. I didn't ask you to bow. Her fingers curl against the table. I'm telling you that the throne needs a queen who is not afraid to face corruption, even when that corruption hides behind tradition. And I am no longer afraid. Whispers ripple. The council stiffens. She feels Kale watching her, shock, pride, something deeper threading through his gaze. Counselor Voren slams his fist on the table. You presume to claim authority in this chamber? Aria turns her gaze on him. Direct. Sharp. Unyielding. I do more than presume. Silence falls so abruptly it feels like the entire palace stops breathing. Aria lifts the royal decree she found among the documents, the one that outlines the king's right to name a co-ruler in times of internal threat. The advisor never destroyed it. He should have. She holds it high enough for every counselor to see. You created the enemy that nearly destroyed this palace. Your complacency allowed corruption to spread. Your arrogance blinded you to a traitor at your side. Her voice cuts like a blade. So I will not ask permission. She steps beside Kale. He looks at her with a mix of awe and a fierce, swelling protectiveness. Aria breathes in and declares, I claim my position as your future queen. Gasps erupt. Snarls. Panic. Fury. One counselor screams, this is a declaration of war against our traditions. Aria doesn't flinch. Then let tradition declare war on the truth. Kale moves beside her, placing one hand on the small of her back, a quiet bow, solid and steady. Aria speaks with my authority, he says, voice like thunder. And my throne stands with her. The room explodes into chaos. Wolves shift. Guards tense. The council surges to its feet in uproar. But before any of them can strike or shout another word, A messenger bursts into the chamber, face pale, chest heaving. "Sire, your majesty," he chokes. "The eastern watchtowers." He collapses to one knee. The rival kingdom has declared war. The chamber falls dead silent. Aria's blood turns to ice. Kale's jaw clenches. Outside, the war horn begins to sound deep, ancient, shaking the stone beneath their feet. The war horn's final echo fades into a silence so heavy it feels like a weight across Aria's chest. Kale steps forward, steadying the messenger. "Speak." They cross the borders at dawn. The messenger gasps. 3 battalions. Their alpha claims the throne's weakening makes this realm unfit to rule itself. Aria's stomach twists. Of course. The advisor's corruption hadn't just infected the palace, it signaled weakness to the outside world. Now the rival kingdom was seizing the moment, ready to crush a land already bleeding from within. Kale turns toward his generals. "Prepare the troops. Fortify every gate. No one enters or leaves without my command." The chamber erupts into motion, but Aria stays frozen. Not out of fear, out of clarity. The intuition pulsing through her ribcage since the attack stirs again, hot, urgent, insistent. Images flash behind her eyelids in quick, fragmented bursts. A burning forest. A breached wall. Wolves falling in shadows. A crown stained with ash. And Kale. Kale on his knees. Alone. Her breath shudders. "We're walking into a trap," she whispers. Kale turns sharply. "What do you see?" "Not imagine. Not fear. See." "I don't know how to explain it," she murmurs. But the advisor already made deals with the rival kingdom. This invasion, it isn't just an attack. They're coming for you specifically. They believe if they take the throne before the coronation, the council will surrender. The counselors flinch at her words. Kale steps closer, searching her face with intensity. "Aria, what exactly did you sense?" She meets his gaze. "They want your head before sunset." A slow silence descends. One that tastes like metal and storm winds. Kale's voice lowers. "Then they will die trying." He turns, issuing rapid orders, but Aria grabs his arm. "No. Listen. You're thinking like a warrior. They're thinking like strategists. They won't come through the front lines. They're going to strike the palace from the inside. They're already here." Kale stills. The council freezes. A guard shouts from the balcony above. Movement in the west wing. Another voice echoes from the courtyard, unmarked forces breaching the lower gates. Aria's vision sharpens, too sharp, as if the world is funneling into one unavoidable truth. "They've infiltrated the palace," she whispers. "The war has already begun." Kale draws his blade, eyes burning. "Aria, stay behind me." She shakes her head. "No, I'm fighting beside you." Before he can argue, the ground trembles. A shockwave ripping through stone. And an explosion tears open the far wall in a rain of dust and shattered marble. Dozens of enemy wolves pour into the throne chamber. Their alpha steps forward. Towering, armored in black steel, eyes like burning coals. His gaze lands on Kale. Then on Aria. And a cruel, slow smile curves across his face. "Good," he rumbles. "You're both here." Kale lifts his sword, fury radiating off him like heat. "What do you want?" The rival alpha's voice is a low, triumphant snarl. "The throne." He points his blade at Aria next. "And the human who thinks she can rule wolves." Aria feels Kale tense beside her. Her breath steadies. Her intuition flares. The rival alpha steps forward. And the chamber prepares to explode into violence. The rival alpha lunges first. Kale moves to intercept, fury igniting his entire frame, but Aria's instinct flares like lightning, sharp, urgent, absolute. "Stop." Her voice tears through the chaos like a blade. Not loud, not commanding, just undeniable. The enemy alpha halts mid-stride, a single heartbeat from killing her. Because something in her tone doesn't belong to prey or fear. It belongs to throne rooms, to leaders, to queens. Kale freezes too, breathing hard, torn between battle and the shock of watching Aria step directly into the path of a war. Dust settles around her. Smoke curls at her feet. Her pulse throbs against her throat, steady, centered. The rival alpha narrows his eyes. Move aside, human. I will, Aria says carefully, as soon as you understand what you are about to destroy. He laughs, low and sharp. Your kingdom is weakened. Your advisor was corrupt. Your council is divided. Why shouldn't I take the throne? Because you don't want the throne, Aria says softly. The entire chamber stills. Kale's breath catches. Aria's intuition pulses again, quiet, guiding as the enemy alpha's gaze flickers in the smallest, most telling way. You want justice, she continues. Your lands were starving while our advisor funneled supplies to criminal factions. Your villages burned because our council ignored your requests for protection. This war isn't conquest. She steps closer. It's retaliation. A murmur ripples through both sides. The rival alpha's jaw tightens, a crack forming in his cold composure. You speak boldly for someone who knows nothing of my land. I know suffering, she replies. I've seen it. I've lived it. I recognize it in your eyes. He growls, defensive. Your kingdom stole from mine. Aria nods. Yes. And our traitor paid us for our ignorance. She holds up the last piece of evidence. The ledger she hadn't shown the council, detailing secret trade routes draining the rival kingdom's resources and feeding the advisor's corruption. The rival alpha's eyes widen. Shock. Rage. Recognition. Kale whispers from behind her, voice low and reverent, Aria. She doesn't look back. Instead, she speaks clearly, letting the room hear every word. Your anger is justified. Your people deserve justice. But killing Kale won't fix what was stolen from you. War won't rebuild your villages. Bloodshed won't feed your children. Silence spreads like water on stone. Slow. Irreversible. Aria steps even closer to the rival alpha, close enough to feel his heat, his fury, his doubt. You want peace, she says. But you don't trust that we'll listen. She lifts her chin. Then listen to me now. I will fix what was done. I will give back what was stolen. I will stand, not as a human or an outsider, but as someone who sees the truth neither kingdom wanted to face. Her voice softens. Earnest, raw, impossibly steady. Let me make a treaty with you. Not as queen. Not as Kale's bride. But as Aria, the one who sees the wound behind your rage. The rival alpha's breath shudders. The warriors behind him shift uncertainly. Kale watches her with something fierce and breaking inside his eyes. After a long, excruciating silence, the rival alpha lowers his blade. Just an inch. But enough. Aria continues, no blood today. We end this war now with honesty. With reparations. With protection for your border villages. With shared patrols. With trade rebuilt the way it should have been years ago. She extends her hand. A single gesture. Risking everything. The enemy alpha stares at her palm for several long seconds. Then, he grips it. Hard. The throne hall releases a collective breath. Kale lowers his sword. Aria feels her knees nearly give out. But the rival alpha's voice rumbles in the quiet. If you fail your word, human, I will return. Aria nods. Then I will not fail. Kale steps behind her, resting one hand on her shoulder, not possessive, not protective. Just proud. Deeply, devastatingly proud. Outside, the war horns fall silent. Inside, Aria realizes the truth. She didn't stop a war with strength. She stopped it with understanding. But before peace can settle, a council guard bursts through the broken entryway, terror etched across his face. Your Majesties, something is happening outside. He swallows. The kingdom, they've gathered at the gates. Kale stiffens. To revolt. The guard shakes his head. No, sire. His eyes land on Aria with awe. They're chanting her name. The balcony doors groan as Aria pushes them open. Cold night air rushes in, sharp with moonlight and the metallic scent of extinguished battle fires. The moment she steps onto the stone platform, the noise hits her like a living force. A roar of voices. Wolves howling. Names shouted into the sky. Her name. Aria. 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 The crowd stretches from the palace gates to the far torchlit walls. Thousands of wolves, warriors, civilians, elders, pack children perched on rooftops, all looking up at her. Her breath catches in her throat. Kale steps out behind her, the rival alpha remaining in the shadows, watching the scene unfold with solemn curiosity. Aria grips the balcony rail to steady herself. There, calling for me, she whispers. Kale's voice is a low rumble. You ended a war without spilling blood. You exposed corruption the council ignored for years. You saved me. You saved them. His hand brushes her back, a touch that feels like a vow. They see you now, Aria. Truly. As if on cue, the chanting swells again. She feels the weight of their belief, their hope, their fear, easing for the first time in years. One wolf from the front raises a banner bearing the crest of the moon crown, but with a new symbol painted across it. A human hand intertwined with a wolf's. Her heart stutters. Another wolf shouts, "Stand with us, Aria." And another, "Be the queen we choose, not the one tradition demands." Aria swallows hard, throat tight. She turns slightly toward Kale. He watches her with a gentleness he rarely shows in public, one saved only for the spaces between them. Kale, I don't know if I can be what they need. He steps closer until their shoulders nearly touch. You already are. Aria looks down at the sea of wolves again. Their faces, their hope, their fierce, unyielding loyalty. And her chest fills with something warm, overwhelming, terrifying. A pack instinct. A belonging. A claim she never expected. She lifts her hand slowly. The crowd erupts, howls shaking the palace walls. A sound rises above the rest, a united chant. Our queen! Our queen! Our queen! Aria feels her throat tighten, eyes burning. Then Kale speaks, voice carrying across the kingdom, deep and resonant. My people, your queen stands before you. The one who ended the bloodshed. The one who saw truth where others saw fear. He turns to Aria, not as a king claiming a bride, but as a man honoring a partner. Aria, he says softly, the world falling silent around them. Will you accept the crown alongside me, not because a decree demands it, but because they choose you, and because I do too? Her breath trembles. This moment feels too big, too sacred, too impossible. But she looks out over thousands of wolves calling for her, and realizes something bone deep. They are not seeing a human. They're seeing hope. She meets Kale's gaze, and nods. Yes! The kingdom explodes into thunderous celebration. Fireworks, wolf-made sparks of moonlight burst across the sky. Wolves shift and howl, not in aggression, but in allegiance. Kale takes her hand, raising it high. Aria feels the acceptance crash through her like a tidal wave. This kingdom, these wolves, this throne, they are hers now. But as the cheers reach their peak, a shadow moves on the far roof. A glint of steel, a hiss of something sharp in the wind. Kale reacts first, eyes widening, voice ripping through the night. Aria, down. The courtyard is silent, too silent. Aria steps lightly over the jagged remnants of the council banners, the scent of smoke and iron thick in the air. Every instinct screams that something is wrong. Kale, she calls softly. He is still, crouched beside the shattered steps leading to the throne, jaw clenched, eyes narrowing into slits of gold. His armor is scorched, his cloak torn, but it is the cold distance in his expression that cuts deeper than any blade. Aria senses it before he speaks. A fissure in his trust, sharp and raw. They moved too quickly, he says, voice low, trembling with restrained fury. Too well coordinated to be outsiders. Someone inside betrayed us. Her stomach drops. No, she whispers, heart hammering. It can't be. Kale doesn't look at her. His fingers drum against the hilt of his sword, a rhythm of danger and suspicion. Aria, you were with me when the eastern wing fell. His gaze finally meets hers, searching. But something feels off. You. She steps forward, breath catching. Kale, wait. His hand rises, stopping her mid-step. I need to know that nothing was deliberate. that no shadow of doubt touches this moment. Aria's throat tightens. She feels the pull of the kingdom, the weight of her human heart trying to navigate the Wolf King's world of suspicion and honor. "I've never," she starts, then pauses, voice raw. "Kale, I would never betray you. You know that." The wind carries a low growl from the distant barracks. It isn't a wolf, it's a warning. A ripple of movement draws Aria's gaze to the courtyard gates. Figures step from the shadows, clad in dark leathers, faces hidden. A new threat, or the face of treachery revealed. Kale rises slowly, every movement deliberate, exuding a predator's tension. "I don't know who to trust," he admits, voice low, almost breaking. "And I won't let the throne fall, not again." Aria feels the sting of fear, but also a surge of determination. She takes his hand, brushing over the rough calluses, warm despite the tension. "Then we face it together," she whispers. His golden eyes soften, a fleeting warmth before the storm. Together. A sudden roar echoes from the battlements. Wolves from the rival clans surge forward, but their markings are familiar. Wolves of Kale's pack, twisted by deception, trained to kill with precision. Aria's intuition flares, an electric, instinctive warning she can no longer ignore. She grabs Kale's shoulder, heart hammering. From the left. "They're turning our own against us." Kale's expression hardens. He shifts, a low growl rolling from his chest, a perfect predator's tension coiling around them both. But the hesitation is there, a crack left by the shadow of betrayal. And then, the realization lands like ice. The traitor isn't an outsider. Not Thorn. Not the foreign king. It is someone who walks within the palace, watches their every move, whispers in their ears, smiles behind their masks of loyalty. Aria swallows hard. The betrayal is closer than the next heartbeat. "Kale," she murmurs, voice trembling, "look, the advisor. It has to be him. He's been steering the council, orchestrating every collapse from within." Kale's eyes narrow into molten gold. "You think he?" A sharp whistle cuts through the night. Wolves trained to obey snap to attention, and the advisor himself steps into the courtyard, arms raised in mock surrender, a cruel smile twisting his features. "I wondered how long it would take for you to suspect," he says, voice smooth, mocking. "But even the king's golden eyes can be deceived, can't they?" Kale's claws flex, the aura of the alpha coiling like steel around him. "Your treachery ends tonight." Aria steps close, heart hammering in her chest. "Kale, trust me. I see him. I can feel it." His gaze flicks between her and the advisor. In that breath, the fragile thread of their bond is tested, stretched to its limit. The advisor smirks, drawing a concealed dagger. "Then prove it, human. Let's see if the Wolf King can trust you over tradition." Kale lunges, fury incarnate, but Aria steps forward first, intuition guiding her hands. She intercepts, redirecting the dagger, twisting the momentum, and in that instant, the courtyard erupts into chaos, wolves clashing, steel ringing, betrayal and loyalty tangled in a storm of motion. And Aria knows, deep in her chest, one wrong move could kill Kale or shatter everything they've built. Silence. The battlefield has settled. Smoke curls from broken battlements. Wolves pant heavily, ears twitching for orders that no longer come. Aria stands, breath ragged, chest tight with the aftermath of chaos. Kale leans against the balcony railing, one arm wrapped around her waist. His armor is battered, his golden eyes are stormy, yet there is relief. A victory, yes, but at what cost? The palace is theirs, but the shadow of betrayal lingers. She turns, scanning the loyal warriors gathering below. Every wolf's gaze is fixed on her. Not Kale. Not the throne. Her. A shiver runs down her spine. She never thought this day would come, not as a human, not as a queen of wolves. And yet, here she is. Kale steps forward, hands brushing hers. "Aria," he murmurs, voice low, husky. "The council, the advisors, they can no longer challenge you. The throne is yours." She swallows hard, the weight of truth pressing against her chest. "Mine? Yes." His hand cups her cheek, thumb brushing over her trembling lips. Not as a token. Not as tradition demands. As the king chooses. As I choose. Her pulse races, warmth flooding her in a wave that has nothing to do with the sun. Every instinct, every beat of her heart screams yes. But there is fear too, a human's fear, fragile, real, vulnerable. And the advisor, she asks softly, eyes narrowing. The one who tried to destroy everything? Kale's jaw tightens. He won't betray us again. Not today. Not ever. I promise you. She steps closer, placing her hand over his heart. She feels it, steady, fierce, golden fire beneath human touch. Then we rule together, she whispers. A roar rises from below, the pack acknowledging her, the human queen of wolves. They shift on instinct, eyes gleaming with loyalty, snarls of approval vibrating through the courtyard stones. Aria breathes deeply, letting the moment wash over her. The palace no longer feels alien. She no longer feels like an outsider. She is part of something primal, eternal. She is home. And yet, as the sun breaks fully over the horizon, a subtle movement in the shadows catches her eye. A figure cloaked in black, watching from the tree lean. She stiffens. Kale notices, lips pressing to her temple. You feel it, he murmurs. Yes, she breathes. Another shadow. Another test. He nods, fierce and protective, golden eyes locking with hers. Whatever comes, we face it together. Always. Aria swallows, the full weight of her new reality settling in. She is no longer merely human. She is not merely Kale's bride. She is the first human to ever rule the wolves. And the shadow watching from the trees moves closer.